to welcome everyone to the conversation where we talk about everything Cowboys. My favorite team, your favorite team, America's team. Here with your host, Coach Marv.
Cowboy Nation, Cowboy fans. This time I'm going for live again on Facebook. This last time I did it, I had to put it didn't go in a private. It was in a private thing, and I had to repost it. But this time I should be live with y'all in color. And now we're gonna talk, but I'm not gonna be here long with you. I just had a conversation with one of my co-hosts and one of my Cowboy content creators earlier today, and we're trying to push a different narrative. And today I want to talk about, as y'all see in my topic, in my topic of this chat, we're going to talk about common sense versus emotional, and the topic is going to be about George Pickens. And we're going to talk common sense versus emotional. Now, I want to start this off and saying that I think George Pickens I want to give the history. If you watch my shows, I have done numerous of shows about George Pickens, not just recently, even beginning for the season started last year. I always talked about, before George Pickens came to Dallas, that George Pickens was on my fantasy football team for 2 years, 3 years of the fantasy football team I had when I was in the fantasy football leagues. And George Pickens was feast or famine when he was on my fantasy football leagues. I knew that he could put up a 200-yard game any minute and win me a game on the fantasy league, or he can go and now have no catches in a game, or 2 or 3 catches in a game. But I knew he was very talented, and he is a very talented wide receiver. Now, I've always said that being talented is not mean that you're the best. There's a lot of people that are very talented, but putting talent and focus and opportunity, and the biggest word, consistency, year in and year out, makes you superstar status and makes you great. Talented, consistent. That's what makes you great. That's basically the guys that's getting paid in the NFL or the Major League Baseball or NBA are guys that are greatly talented, put up great numbers year in and year out. They may not be as great as numbers one year as the other, but they're close. They're in a consistent place, and give them great circumstances around them. They're going to put astronomical numbers, but they're consistent with their numbers year in, year out. And it's based off not only talent, but they got focus. They can maybe lead. They're the focal point. They're the leaders. Those are why we call superstars. Now, does George Pickens have that talent? Yes, he does. Has he put up that consistent talent year in and year out? No. Has he had some flaws in Pittsburgh? Yes. Is some of them believable, some of them are not believable, but somewhere down the line, something went wrong and he wasn't there no more. And I'm not saying anything that's detrimental or mean about Pickens or something that somebody y'all can go out here and attack me about. These are true. These are just true statements. It didn't work out in Pittsburgh. They had to find a suitor to trade for him. They didn't get a boatload for him. They gave him the opportunity to be the number one. I know people gonna say, well, what quarterbacks he playing? But when we're talking about superstar status, they're gonna be good regardless of who around them, but there's gonna be a certain certain stats that they're gonna do with or without. But George Pickens is very talented. Now, did George Pickens have an outstanding year in Dallas? Yes. George Pickens had the best year of his career this year in Dallas. Was it a year that it's Hall of Fame status? Is it a year that was a Cooper Cup season 3-4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, or a CD Lamb season 2-3 years ago, or a Lamar Chase or a Jefferson year that they have? Was it one of those years that people talked about him being MVP? Those guys had those years when they were talking about them being MVP. Was it that type of year? No, it wasn't close. But was it a good year? Yes. Did the year beat our expectations? Yes, it did. Why did it beat our expectations? Because we never had a year like this before. But does one year like this equate that you pay him the average of the top 5 wide receivers? No, that's emotional. Does this year equate that you pay him a big check and he gets a big contract? Yes. But is it a mega deal? Or is it that we sign him at all costs? No. Now we're gonna unpack some of these other things that these other rumors that's coming out that's gonna tell it's gonna be like it's gonna tell you that hey, let's stop being so emotional and let's think about this in common sense. I want to start off, and we're gonna go to the trade stuff in a minute, but let's just start off just looking at if we just say, okay, let's look at numbers. And let's look at what a number when you talk about franchise tagging or you talk about paying somebody these mega bucks. These are guys you pay this what franchise receivers. So let's look at on our own team. What our number one team, what our number one wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, had to do to get to be a number one wide receiver in Dallas. So bear with me, you know me, I'm not that great with all these technical things, but y'all bear with me. So I went and said, well, let me look up some stats, right? And I didn't want to dig deep into the stats. I just want to dig into okay, George Pickens has played what 3 years. Let's go 3 years of George Pickens stats. Let's go 2023, 2024, and this year he played with us in 2025. 2023, he had 63 catches, only 63. But he had a lot of bombs, and I know because he had some mega games. He had some games where he had 200-yard receivers, but then he had some games that he didn't have. No, but he had 1,100 yards in 63 catches, 18 yards per catch. He got 5 touchdowns. Then the next year, he still hovered around the 60-some mark, 59 catches, 900 yards, 3 touchdowns. Then he had his big year. And his big year with the Cowboys last year, he had 93 receptions, 1,429 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Reminding you, he had 9 touchdowns in the 2 previous years. He only had 8. To me, that's a budding receiver that is a very good number 2 wide receiver. Very good. And why did he got 93 receptions? Because he got 93 receptions this year because this counterpart, which a CD Lamb was out 5 games? 45 games plus. You know, when the first game he came back, he was still so. Let's say about 5 games. And plus, he went out 1 game. So let's say 5 to 6 games, basically CD Lamb didn't really play. Plus the last game of the season, CD Lamb didn't really do it. So let's say around 6 or 7 games, CD Lamb really wasn't there. So you give Pickens number 1 targets for 6 or 7 games without CD Lamb being there. But if CD Lamb was there, do you think it would have been 93 receptions? Or would he have still been around 70, 75 receptions and 1,100 yards? Now, I'm not talking about emotional. I'm asking you, we're talking common sense. Do we think if CeeDee Lamb was there for 6 games and fully healthy, that we will get 93 receptions and 1,400 yards from George Pickens? Second point, and we're just talking common sense. Second point, if we give George Pickens $30 million, $32 million, some people I heard somebody say his agent gonna ask for 40. If we give him $35, $40 million, are we is 35, 40 gonna be for probably 80-some catches, 90-some catches, probably 1,200 yards, maybe 10 touchdowns? Because there is not in history where you got 2 receivers that's gonna have 1,500, 1,600 yards and 13. Then you're gonna be totally unbalanced. Now, that's a good year, but this thing, if I'm looking at this from not an emotional point of view, and I'm looking at this from another team aspect, I can't trust you doing it 1 year and I ain't seen you do it multiple years. Because you can have anybody have a flash in the pan good year. Before I pay you number 1 wide receiver money, I need to see that on a consistent basis. Okay. Well, you said, well, Coach, let's look at consistent basis. Let's go to CeeDee Lamb. Let's see how CeeDee Lamb got to be a number 1 wide receiver. Let's see how CeeDee Lamb became what we said when they paid him wide receiver number 1 money. His first year, 16 games, right? It said he had 74 catches, 935 yards. Starting off, he had more catches than George Pickens. And he was playing with Amari Cooper. The next year, 79 catches, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. The next year, 107, 1359, 9. The next year, 135 receptions, 1,700 yards, and 12 touchdowns. The next year, with a poo-poo, remember we talked about he ain't had no second wide receiver last year, 24. We said he had no second wide receiver. Plus, Dak Prescott was hurt. Well, he still caught 101 catches for 1,194. I'm just saying, he was out. He only played 14 games last year. They said 14 games of the 17-game season. I don't think he played no 14 games, but they're going to say 14. Well, you got to think about it. Take the game he got hurt. He didn't play that whole game. And take that last game of the year. He didn't really play that game. But he still got 75 catches, and he still got 1,000 yards and 3 touchdowns. This is what number one wide receivers do, year in and year out. It took CeeDee Lamb year 2022, no, 2021, 2022, and 2023 before the Cowboys could trust and give him big money to be a number one wide receiver. But we at Cowboy Nation, say this makes him the better wide receiver. 1 year. 1 year. And some people out here saying that he's a better wide receiver. I tell you what, put him out there. And I tell the Cowboys need to do. And I'll tell you what football people gonna do. See, we got some emotional fans thinking that if this guy did this and it was any other team other than the Cowboys, no commentator out there would be saying paying him $40 million. Nobody. Because the guy at Cincinnati, the number 2 wide receiver, had better stats in his whole career than Pickens, and nobody said pay him 35, 40 million. But we got people out there say, hey, pay Pickens anything. But I will guarantee you, the people who saying that, put him on the market and see if some other team gonna trust to pay him big money, guaranteed money. And he had one quality, not even 100 receptions. And listen, a lot of people who talking don't have nothing stats to back up, or what they have is if they have their opinion, they can say, well, he looked like he was the better wide receiver. That's what the people were saying. That's just opinion. But it's nothing concrete. And we're looking at a team that had, when Dak Prescott has played, I'm going to say this. When Dak Prescott has played a whole year with Pickens, without Pickens, when people said they would always been a top 10 offense in the league, probably for the last, I don't know how long. But second thing, let's talk about when these people talk about, oh, we need to trade him. For one, Somebody point out to me when a franchise tag person that was traded while they was on the tag, while the team had traded them while they was on tag, because signing trades only happen in basketball. People think signing trades happen in football. You can't sign into a long-term deal then trade him, because you take a salary cap hit when you trade a player. So now they make it trade him while he's on the cap, because the cap is only on the franchise tag. So now you're trading the whole amount of money that's going with it, because all of it's guaranteed. So yes, the other team would take the franchise tag. But check this out. Who has control over that trade? Pickens, somebody said, well, Pickens ain't got no trade clause, but he got the control. You said, well, coach, how he got control? Because if there's a place that he don't want to go, and he tells the team that you trade him to that I'm not gonna sign a long-term deal with you, you think they're gonna give a compensation and bring him in there for $28 million and then don't even know if they can sign him? Here we go again. Common sense over emotion. The stats confirmed the guy missed 3 games. And it was hurt too. He was hurt when he got back, and he was hurt the game he left. In the last game of the season, nobody really played at all. I think they had 1 target at Pickens and 1 target to Lamb. And that was it. I don't even believe people can say that when a person missed games. And they say, well, no, it shows that. 18 more catches, 300 yards. If you look at the amount of yards per game, they're about the same. But like I said, if you try to trade him, I know people say trade him. Well, we say we get a boatload of money for him. Well, some people say, well, you know something, we can get a boatload for him. Let's just trade him because we get a boatload. Well, if here comes the common sense again. I'm the other team. The Cowboys want compensation, right? So I'm just trying to kill the myth of this trade or not trade. Some people pushing this narrative about trade like that's a very smart idea. That idea is crazy into the point, because you're not gonna get no boatload. Now, you may get a boatload from a team to say, okay, we already talked to his agent and we already got a deal in place and we're gonna be a trader. Again, like I said, go back and pull up the interview. And I need to find that interview that Tyreek Hill talked about when he got traded to Miami. He gave everything. He talked about the whole thing. He explained how it went when he left Kansas City. He said Kansas City had a price for him, and they offered him a contract with that price. He felt that he can get more. They said that that's how they're going to fit him into their structure. Well, he said it wasn't a bad deal, but he said he felt that he could get more. So they told him, go out and shop yourself. You're at your agent shop. If you found a better deal, give us a chance to match it. And if we can't match it, we'll work out a trade for you. That's why the team came to trade for him, because he had already worked the deal out with them, and they were not going to get a blind thing to say, we're going to get you here and then try to work a deal out, because we get you here and you don't like us, you'll play that 1 year and be gone. And then we gave up compensation for you. So he had a deal with Miami, and he said with New York. I think New York and Miami. He picked Miami because Miami deal was a little bit better, and he had to pay no state taxes. He came back to Kansas City. He said he came back. Kansas City said, we can't, that's not good for us going forward. So they worked out a trade. And they got compensation in the trade. He went on to Miami, signed an extension, and that's it. Then he comes back later on and says he wished he would never left Kansas City. Because he wasn't a part of the 2 Super Bowls that they won back to back. He was gone. Yes. So all the people talking about you can't get rid of Pickens, they got rid of Pickens. They got rid of 3 deals and went back to back Super Bowl. Back to back. But you know, we'll have an excuse about that too. Back to back Super Bowls. For people talking about pass rushers. Say, oh man, you can't get rid of pass rushers and win a Super Bowl. Philadelphia traded Hassan Reddick. He was their lead sack player. And then they won the Super Bowl the next year without Hassan Reddick. Duh. But I guess some of y'all always say, nah, you can't do that. You can't get rid of a pass rusher. They won the Super Bowl without it. I mean, it happens. But somebody's going to keep spewing stuff off emotion, but not facts. So if I'm a team, now if Pickens wants to come here and I pick up the franchise tag, because I got to trade him on the franchise tag. So if when you trade him, he automatically come on you, because that's the only way the Cowboys can sign him, is on the tag. Now remind you about the tag, which I think tagging him is the worst thing you can do. But remind you about the tag. He got to sign the tag. Yeah. Yeah, Pickens still got to sign the tag. So when they do this, maybe in the next day or two, if they do it, he still got to sign it. Now, do players sign it right off the bat? No. Why they go ahead and sign it off the bat? Because they want to lock themselves in for some money in the next year without a doubt. They don't want to say, if I get hurt or anything and I haven't signed it, guess what the team can do? Rescind the offer. The offer is not in stone until the player signs the franchise tag. Anytime before that, the club can rescind the tag. So the player's best interest is saying, when you give me the tag, not too long and go ahead and sign it. Why? Because now you know he's locked up at least for one guaranteed payday. But why are you going to franchise tag a number 2 wide receiver? I guarantee you. And this common sense. You think that you got 3 years in another place, and you think that if I'm another organization, I'm gonna forget what happened those years, trust you to a mega deal? Yeah. And I understand when you're talking about defense winning championships. If that's the case, do you need $30 million wide receivers? Because tell me what other team we got And tell me if it's another team that's got that close. Tell me what their defense was like. I, like I said, my purpose of my show was common sense versus emotion. I'm here to tell you if George Pickens was on another team and he was a free agent and we were watching this player and we were saying, Jerry, go out and get this player. Or we were saying, well, he talked about, as every player, they always say they going to the Dallas Cowboys. Somebody always throw a thing out there. So somebody said that he was coming out. You telling me, as a Cowboy fan, y'all will look at it and say, well, he only had one mega year like that. Is he gonna have? Do we got another CD Lamb on the other side where he can get stuff like that? And we gonna be is do we have the stuff in place for him to get to keep him in line and for us to get all stuff like that? Are we prepared from another team to say, is that gonna be we can do that and he can have that type of year with us? Are we gonna invest $30-some million into him? Are we gonna see what Pittsburgh saw? Is that gonna come back? Do we really understand that that's over with? Tell me if that was the case, y'all Cowboy fans would be saying, he got to prove it. But since he was in Dallas, the emotions, we say forget all that. And then when he gets that, and CeeDee Lamb has plays every year, the whole year, and dominate like he's been dominating for 5 or 6 years. And George Pickens only gets 75 catches for 1,200 yards. Know what y'all gonna say? The same people gonna say, "Oh, he ain't worth that." Oh, what you gonna say is, "No, we should, man, forget that. Make sure he earned his money." Guess what that does? Is that winning football? No, it ain't. It's PlayStation and John Madden football. And some of the comments I hear, I can tell some of y'all are John Madden players and y'all love playing PlayStation and John Madden football. And y'all have fell into the trap that the NFL has set up. The NFL has set up and said, we gonna make you think that that's real football and that the NFL, the real football, needs to be like that. Where when they started those games, they say, we're gonna make it just like football. But somewhere down the line, they said, oh, we're gonna change the real NFL to make it look more like the game. Because see, the game, a lot of people could, feel like, hey man, they know football because they know the game. The PlayStation game. Nobody gets hurt. You can play the game with no injuries. Everybody got super teams. There is not some team, no player coming up that maybe not a superstar that comes up to have a great year. Like some of the players that played for the Seattle team and the New England team that people didn't give a chance, didn't say they were going to have good years and turn out to be good players. And that person that then made a comment about Tracy Lamb, they don't know football. They think 1 year. And they watched the film on George Pickens he caught all those on 3 routes. And when teams started to take the routes away, he struggled. Because if that was the case, you would have saw that same production more than just 1 year. And I will say this: George Pickens could be signed on this team. There's some good money out there for George Pickens. And I would have no problem with signing George Pickens. Maybe a Devontae Smith contract, possibly. With a 28, $30 million, I would say, hey, go ahead and find it. He may find it, but the situation might not be as good. Because he has showed you if the situation is not good, right? If he's not in a good situation, he puts up 63 receptions, 900 yards, 59 catches, 1,000 yards. That's when the situation is not good. When the situation is good and he got other great players around him, he puts up 93 catches, 1,400 yards. And if he gets 5 or 6 games where the other great receivers not there, he put up great numbers. But when he had the stage, when he was the man, and nobody can answer that question. I'm waiting on the people that says and my young man and the gentleman in the chat. I'm trying to figure that out. When we talk about schedule, he got 2 years in Pittsburgh and he was the man. What happened? And I know we're gonna say, well, he ain't had no quarterback. Well, he didn't have he ain't had this, he ain't had it. So the situation, and I always said, guys are getting 30 million, guys are getting these big, but the situation got to be perfect for them to be dogs. And this is common sense versus emotion. Because if we're saying that we're doing an emotion, now some people gonna go out and say, well, man, you dogging Pickens. No, Pickens should be here, should, can be here. I think Jerry them should make sure that they understand and say, hey, he needs to get paid well. If he's one of the higher paid second wide receivers in the league, fine. But we don't need to be playing around with this. We definitely don't need to be playing around talking about pipe. See, when you talk about putting franchise tag, you ain't doing it inciting your own fan base to make the player look like he's way more important than what you think what he is. And this is what's causing all this conversation about trade, about people we should sign him at all costs, because somebody whispered outside. Now, I don't even know that Jones is, think about franchise tag. That's the report that they got. And that could be from anybody because there's a lot of bad reports out there about this Pickens thing because there's a lot of people pushing narratives that shouldn't be pushed. I think the Cowboys should come out, just like I said, I'm going to say it again. You should have been already talking to his people. You should have a parameter out there what you feel that you want to sign him for. And after that, guess what? So when we say that, they go and say they can put him out there for that tag, and they can say this is what we have. He can say that, and then what you would do is you allow Pickens to hit the open market, and you say, hey, we want you here, and if he wants to be in Dallas so bad, he'll give Dallas the opportunity to match anything he wants. But if he jumps to another team, he didn't really want to be here. And that's just plain and simple. And if somebody outbids you, guess what? You're not gonna get him at less. His agent is not in the business of getting him a contract for less unless he decides to do that. He don't want to do that because he was forced to do that because he didn't have any other opportunity. If he gets locked into a franchise tag, he gonna make sure that he gets the maximum out of the Cowboys. If you allow him to go and he really wants to be in Dallas, and you offer him a little bit less and give him a saying that this is a place where we want you to be, guess what? He may choose to be in Dallas. But if you restrict him, you're gonna get a person that's gonna dig in to get the most out you. So don't use this franchise tag. Let him shop around. Let's see. Let's see what Green Bay gonna do. They say they're gonna go out and get a wide receiver. They say Michael Parsons is the supposed to be the general manager of Green Bay. Let's see if they're gonna pay all the money that they can pay him in the world and give Pickens that big bag. And really hope that he likes to live in Green Bay. That he don't get frustrated with Green Bay and say, man, forget about this after he get that bag. Let's see. I don't think they're gonna. Let's see if he get that big deal. Fine, man. There's other guys out there we can give you number two wide receiver. And everybody talking about, oh, we ain't got no weapon. We act like there's no other guys out there can play football. I just don't understand. That's emotion. We act like nobody else can go out there and play wide receiver other than Pickens. And he don't have stats that says he's out of this world. What makes him think? Because we're those Cowboys. And anybody who we think do anything decent for us, we push it through the roof. That's why a lot of people don't like us as fan base. Because we take something and we just magnify it. We boost the cable to we just shoot it through the roof. And then once we shoot it through the roof, people can't even live up to the expectations. Common sense versus emotion. This trade thing, I know some people talking about, well, we could trade and get Max Crosby. We get Max Crosby. That's gonna be. I'm gonna say it again, and I've said it 1,000 times. You better fix your safety position. Now you got reports out there. Some people out there trying to make reports that well, we'll skip all about the safety position and we'll bring Donovan Wilson back because we want Pickens and we want this and that. We'll bring Donovan Wilson back. Like, oh yeah, he just. If you know football, you watch football. That's a sad mistake. And if anybody want to challenge me on that, let's bring out the tape. Let's go. Hey, if you want to bring out the tape, let's go ahead and let's look at it together. And then let's look at some good safeties. Let's just don't look at them. Let's look at some good safeties, and then we say how both of them look. And I think I know this guy if he coming in here from that point of view, that's what he gonna do. But if it takes some money to go, if we come down to need some money to go towards defense, Your offense ain't gonna be lacking. Names don't make offenses. Production. That's why you're seeing guys playing Super Bowl. You're seeing teams uh, look productive in playoff runs. Guys, we seeing teams that's being productive in playoff run, and some of the guys y'all see on the field, y'all don't even know their names till they start playing because they're getting play out of it. It's about the sum of the parts. That's why when they say when we say Seattle has what, no Pro Bowlers on their defense, and they got one of the best defense in the league. It's the sum of the parts. And if you're a Cowboy fan, you understand that. You understand that perfectly. See, I'm going to say something, and see, the first thing people want to say, oh, that's old school. But see, know your history about your team, then you'll understand when people say stuff that, hey, man, we did the exact same thing. Do you understand the people out there talking about that they won the Super Bowl, the Seattle won the Super Bowl with no Pro Bowlers on their defense? Y'all heard that, right? Y'all heard that, right? Some of the parts. Don't you know the Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl 57 to 17 with no damn Pro Bowlers? Do you know that? If you're a Cowboy fan and you don't know that, then you don't need to talk about Cowboy football. Don't you know that the Cowboys won a Super Bowl the first year that they won the Super Bowl with Jimmy Johnson with no Pro Bowlers, and they were the number one defense in the league that year? And they scored almost more touchdowns in the Super Bowl than the offense. If Leon Lett don't get the ball script, they probably score more touchdowns than the offense did with no Pro Bowl, no All Pros, and they was the number one defense in the NFL. So it's been done in Dallas. But you know, when we talk about it being done in Dallas, you know, we get, oh, that's the old school. It's just talking about old school. And so guess what? Seattle doing it the exact same way that we did it then. But it's old school. It's old school. Isn't the blueprint the same way? Troy Aikman didn't have a great year. They had one great wide receiver and some other guys that can make some plays. A good running back and a good running game and a top ranked defense. And they won a Super Bowl 30 years ago. 30 years later, the same blueprint worked. So we say, it's old school. You don't know what y'all talking about. It's old school. Well, tell me, like I said, I speak on facts. Give me some facts that says something different. Silence. The exact same blueprint that the Seattle Seahawks did this year to win a Super Bowl, the Cowboys did 30 years ago. No. No. See, that's why I know you don't know football. The year that they won their Super Bowl, the 56 to 17, the one the defense scored, what, 4 touchdowns, 9 turnovers? That defense was the number one defense in the league. And guess what? Go back to when they do the filming of the game, America's game, they do the filming of that game. Go back and watch what Jimmy Johnson said about the defense in that Super Bowl. He told his team before they went out for the game, he said, yes, everybody's going to show all the stuff about the triplets, our offense, but we're going to win this game because we got the number one defense. And guess what? That defense had no Pro Bowlers. But isn't that the same blueprint? in Joker running back. If you watch Troy Aikman's stats that year, he damn near has almost as many interceptions. He had touchdowns. If you ain't coming with facts and you just coming with what you think, I'll keep pushing the facts out. There's no disputing that. They did the same blueprint 30 years later. The Seattle team did the same blueprint 30 years later. Last year, Seattle won the Eagles won a Super Bowl with the Russian title. That's only been done 3 or 4 times with the Russian title. It started out with Emmitt Smith. Before that, you didn't get too many Russian title guys to win it. But that blueprint went on and won with Denver Broncos. The same blueprint. And it came back again, mega Russia. And the Eagles won the Super Bowl the year before they lost the Super Bowl. Right? No, the year before they lost in the playoffs. Brown had 1,700 yards in receiving. The next year, he gets a value over 1,000 yards. Devontae Smith falls under 1,000 yards. They run the ball for 2,000 yards. The defense comes back to be a number 1 defense, and they win the Super Bowl. But let everybody else tell it, they won it because of the passing league and those 2 receivers out there. They had less yards, less touchdowns, and they won big. They go back this year, they back to 1,000-yard receivers, and they out the first round of the playoffs. But those facts. Do we want to know some more facts? Let's give you some more facts. Kansas City and Philadelphia played the Super Bowl game. The year that Philadelphia won, right? The year Philadelphia beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Don't you know the 2 teams combined only had 1,000-yard wide receiver? You said Kelsey. No, it wasn't. Kansas City had no 1,000-yard wide receiver. And they only lost 3 games. No 1,000-yard wide receiver. The only 1,000-yard wide receiver in that Super Bowl was A.J. Brown at 1,067 yards. Devontae Smith only had 800-some yards. A.J. Brown missed 4 games, 3 or 4 games. Devontae Smith missed 3 or 4 games. But they still won, what, 13, 14 games? And they still won a Super Bowl? You telling me that we got to have 2 wide receivers that make $30 million? What tells you that? Tell me some history that says that's the case. Tell me some history on your team if that's the case. You know, I go back to this. And some people going to trip when I say this. Some of y'all ain't going to remember this. See, some of y'all, I hope I'm teaching the Cowboy fan who gave all these comments that I'm teaching you some lessons about Cowboy history. Because you knew Cowboys history and knew football, and you know football and history, you know history repeats itself. You know, some people back in the day used to say, some crazy people said when Alvin Harper used to have these big games and catch all these long touchdown passes because he was catching long touchdown passes. You know, some people back in the day used to say, man, Sure, Alvin Harper could be the #1 wide receiver because he caught some long touchdown passes and had some great games. They were like, "Oh man, we could probably do Alvin Harper. We couldn't do without Alvin Harper." And then Albert Harper became a free agent. He decided to say he wanted to jump for some money where he was doing had a great job there. And the Cowboys offered him a contract, but he decided he wanted to go and 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 guess what? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers paid him #1 wide receiver money. And they found out when he was away from the Dallas confine and he was away from being with Michael Irvin and being with Troy Aikman and being around this thing, and they called the plays to make him look good. He failed, like he blew up like the Hindenburg and failed. See, know your Cowboys history. Pickens think they say, you know something. Yeah, man. Let me go to Green Bay. Let me go to New Orleans. Uh, let me go someplace where I don't have to be around, CD and Dak Prescott and Foreigners, and man, they got some other guys and Ferguson guys they can throw the ball to, and they can run the ball, man. They got listen, this offense, man. Let me go someplace else. Maybe I might find a place like Pittsburgh when I'm not happy, but I'll be rich if I get that money. You think Pickens ain't thinking about that? Well, y'all talking about finding him at all costs? Let's don't fool yourself. Common sense versus emotion. All this is being motivated and pushed up by people, one, that don't like the Cowboys, that think that what I call some of our fan bases, what I call imposters. They want to see us throw money. They want to be a sight. They want to see us throw money up the cat's ass. They want to say we bust the budget so they can say we got the highest paid players. They don't care about winning because they feel that if you got the most money out there that you're gonna win, which that don't equate to winning. I ain't never seen a salary equate to how good you can play. I ain't never seen nobody say, "Hey," and football players will tell you that your paycheck gonna tell me you're gonna win the battle today. It just says you got a paycheck and you got zeros on it. But it don't tell me that you can beat my ass today. It don't say that. Common sense versus emotion. Cowboys done had two of the great wide receivers. I posted them on Twitter. Y'all ain't nobody want to see some of you Cowboy fans say all this crazy stuff, but they don't do history. They don't understand we had Drew Pearson and Tony Hill. And Tony Hill, people say Tony Hill could have went anywhere and been a star. He was a star with Dallas Cowboys, but he knew his place. He could be a #1 wide receiver. But guess what he had to do? He knew that he was a #2 and there was a role for him. There is a role for Pickens on this team. There's a salary part that they want. Now, I don't think the Cowboys should lowball the guy and say, man, we'll come back for $10 million or nothing like that. Come on, man. There's no lowball, man. But I don't think they should even be close talking about he's in the top of the food chain. I think they should structure it in a way, and Pickens should be happy because he could be a star in Dallas and make a lot of money. But if it's his goal, and this is not saying nothing bad about him. It's not saying, and I ain't telling you if he want to come at me or someone want to come at me. I ain't telling them but the truth. If his thing is to say, I want to feed my family. I want to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver. I want to be dominant. I want to make the maximum amount of money. I want to show my skill. I want to do that. Then it's best for him to find a home where he can be a #1 and start his career to be dominant, and we'll be okay. And I wasn't shooting nothing at him. I wasn't saying nothing bad. That's his goal. But if his goal is to be a well paid, be on a dominant team, just like I said when he first got here. If his goal is to win and to be on a dominant team, I don't expect him to take peanuts. But I think the Cowboys They got to be straight with him and come out and say, this is what we want. It ain't got to be out in the open, but behind closed doors, and let him start thinking about that. But the less that we say, the more we talk about putting on franchise tag, or we try to be, and right, nobody know what the Joneses say. But when this franchise tag come up, if they put a franchise tag on him, they just made the biggest mistake that they can make. Because now, there ain't no turning back. If they think that they can put Pickens on a prove it deal at 28 million, then they're gonna say, well, you do it again. You ain't doing McCall and controversy for the whole year. And that's distractions that we don't need. So this Cowboy fan, let's think in common sense versus emotion. Let's take emotional out. Because this whole thing is about a common sense thing. I think sometimes we hear certain things, certain stories that don't logically make sense. And we give it credence. The last thing I want to talk about is, man, listen, there's so many rumors that are going on about the Cowboys, man. If you flip on any channel, every time there's a player that comes out, every big type free agent, everybody, they say that they going to the Cowboys. The running back, he's a free agent. Running back, the Super Bowl MVP. Oh, he's gonna be picked up by the Cowboys. The cornerback comes out of Seattle. Oh, he's gonna be going to the Cowboys. Listen, man. Stop jumping with all that, man. That ain't gonna happen. And you're not gonna be able to buy a championship. That's what we get in fact, and that's what I heard some of the Seattle players talking I heard some of the Seattle players talking at the parade. Some of that's crazy, but some of it's true. Some of that stuff that comes out, you really hear and you understand where the Seattle team comes from. One of the guys said, "Hey man, we got the best team and we play football the right way." That's a team, man, and the collective of the parts. And for any time you win a championship, there's gonna have to be sacrifice. Some people gonna sacrifice making the big payday. Some people gonna sacrifice playing time. Some people gonna sacrifice certain roles. Some people gonna say, "Well, I should be paid more, and I'm still getting away." But they're gonna sacrifice for the greater good of the team that year. Now, after that year, some people may not sacrifice the next year. But somewhere down the line, everybody bought in and everybody sacrificed and said, "Hey, I don't care if I make the tackle. I don't care if I'm out there. I'm going to be rooting for it, and I'm going to do my job and my piece. It may not be the same piece of everybody else. We're going to be in this together." That's what this team needs more than anything else. Then we talking about going out here and buying players. This is where you went and hire the defense coordinator. You went to hire the defense coordinator and say, "Hey, why would you go hire a defense coordinator if you got to go and get everybody for him? You got to go get an all-star team for him to be the defense coordinator." Who does that? You could have kept the guy you had. If you're going to change all the guys, you're going to go get the best guys in every position. You brought him in here because you felt that he could raise the level of some of the guys you already got. Because regardless of what y'all say, you're gonna have to raise the level of Butler. You're gonna have to raise the level of number 34, Chevelle, the pick from last year. You're gonna have to raise the level of some of these cornerbacks or these backup safeties you got. You're gonna have to raise the level of the draft picks you get on this team. You have to raise the level of some of these guys that you had that was on this team that you got to get them to play better. You're not gonna be able to change everybody out and say, "Oh, we go get everybody." That's how it works. Football don't work like that, people. Seattle won a championship because they went and got other players, but they raised the level of some of the guys, a lot of the guys on that squad to play one team football and like that person said on that podium, play it the right damn way. And we got to get that. If we get that, then we can make another. We can be somewhere where we want to be. But we ain't gonna get it by boastering and bragging like, oh, we them boys, and act like we paid some money like we gonna win. Man, that would piss me off about Dallas Cowboy fans. Because we don't act like we want to work. You know, sometimes I listen to other fan base, and they really grind with their team. They grind with their team. We looking for a quick fix. But there ain't no quick fix. And if you're gonna win this championship, I'm gonna put out my on my show on my shirt. My shirts are coming out. Defense got to be a weapon in Dallas. And some of y'all think that that's impossible. No, it ain't. It's impossible. It's possible. It's possible. I've seen the defense 4 years ago. I want to say 4 years ago now in Dallas. Dan Quinn's first year. And I'm not pushing Dan Quinn, but Dan Quinn's first year. He came in and put a focus on doing it together. He didn't bring in no bunch of high-level free agents. But they did draft heavy the defense. And all those draft picks were first-round draft picks. But listen, this team got 2 first-round draft picks. And I think both of them should be defensive. Defense is a weapon in Dallas. Thank you, baby. And guess what? Oh, put it in again, baby. Because I'm going to pin it in. Put the defense as a weapon in Dallas. Put it again. I'm pinning it to the top. I think I can pin it to the top. I don't know if I can. I don't even know how to pin it to the top from here. I could have done that in one more day. But listen, defense is a weapon in Dallas. Thanks, baby. Defense is the weapon in Dallas. That's what we're going to preach. That's what we're pushing. That's what I'm getting my man Boss Cowboy Sports, AMP Sports, all those. We're getting the collection together that say, forget all this. Yes, Pickens is not to be signed at all costs. We want Pickens here. There's nothing wrong about getting Pickens here, but not at all costs. The main focus should be on this defense. The defense should be taking this draft should be the main focus on this defense. And then I'm gonna go off the path that this draft needs to get bigger and faster in your secondary. I'm gonna say it again. We need to get bigger at safety and faster and more physical in the secondary. The defense is, or work themselves out. We need some bangers, and we need that to be tight. Because every team you watch in this playoff, that back end is busting. I don't want no more power watchers like we had last year. I don't want guys who can't attack the football like we had last year. But defense got to be the weapon. I've said it again. I've said it for 4 years, and I'm gonna say it one more time. You're going as far as your defense takes you. That's how we have always been in Dallas. You could talk about the triplets you want to talk about. You could talk about the triplets when we had Tony Dorsett, Roger Staubach, and Drew Pearson. That was triplets. But we have never won a Super Bowl without a number one or a number between number 1 and number 8 defense in the league. And we won it 2 times with number 1 defense and a number 2 defense. In Dallas, there's been in the NFL history, there's only been 10 defensive MVPs of Super Bowl. 10 of 60. It's only been 10. Dallas got 4. And it should have more than that. Because the whole defense should have been the MVP when we won 56-17. Because the defense almost scored more touchdowns than offense. Would have scored more touchdowns if Leon Lett's touchdown would have counted. More touchdowns than the offense. So in Dallas history with the triplets and all these Hall of Fame guys you said on offense, defense still dominated. Defense is a weapon in Dallas, and that's the mantra I'm pushing. That's the mantra we should be pushing. Because the better your defense is, the better your offense gonna look. Your offense look like it's sputtered sometimes. Did anybody say that? Remember that? Know why it looked like it sputtered? Because the defense, the other offense was looking so high powered. Seattle offense sputtered in the Super Bowl. But they had to kick field goals, and that keep it the flow. Until the defense make a big play, then we'll get a touchdown. That's complimentary football. I'll say it again, and that's I lead. The same blueprint that Seattle used to win the Super Bowl. Top ranked defense in the league. One of the best running games in the league. Quarterback with the Joker, one of the best wide receivers, but everybody else, an efficient offense. Won a Super Bowl. Don't you know the Dallas Cowboys did that on the first Super Bowl? They won 57-17. A number one defense with no Pro Bowlers. None. No, Deion didn't play with us that year. Yeah, everybody wants to say Deion. He wasn't on that team. We had 2 young cornerbacks, Kevin Smith and a Larry Brown at that time. Yeah. We had a young Darren Winston and a Washington and a Thomas Everett playing safety. Yeah. Thomas Everett came from Pittsburgh in a trade. That's right. Nobody knew where James Washington came. He came from UCLA in the 3rd round draft pick. And Darren Winston was a 3rd round draft pick. No great players, all that. You had Charles Head on that team, but you had a host of defensive linemen. Jimmy Jones, Tony Tolbert, Leon Lett, Russell Maryland, Tony Casillas. You have a host of linebackers that wasn't no big time draft, but together, none of them, even Charles Haley, did not make the Pro Bowl that year. And they still was the number one defense in the league, and they won the Super Bowl with a running game, a great wide receiver, and a number one defense. 30-some years later, Seattle does the exact same blueprint, and I got people out there telling me that that's old school. The previous year, the Philadelphia Super Bowl, number one defense in the league, a 2,000-yard rusher. They only had 1,000-yard wide receiver last year. They won the Super Bowl with a great defense, running game, and a timely offense, and a great running back. They won the Super Bowl. 30 years ago, that's what the Cowboys used to do. Well, you know what y'all tell me? No, man, we need $230 million receivers, and man, that's old school. We don't do it like that. I'm just saying, man. Reality versus emotion. And if you can tell me that's not the truth, that these things ain't went the same way, then I'll say, well, yeah, you might be right. But that's how it went. Same stuff that happened 30 years ago is the same blueprint that's working now. But everybody wants to tell me That's old school, and they don't do it that way no more. Yeah, the losing teams don't do it that way no more. And there's a lot of those. Yeah, they don't do that way on John Madden football, PlayStation. And some of y'all get is delusional to think you can only win like the guy win when he played PlayStation, when he played John Madden. Because somewhere down the line, somebody told you that football should be like the game. Because the game not should be like football. Football should be like the game. Because what had happened is they ran to a point where they could not put emotions into a joystick. They could put physicality into a joystick. They could put grit into a joystick. They could put common sense into a joystick. So somewhere down the line, when they ran out of making EA Sports saying like it's in the game, when they ran out of, they couldn't go no further, somebody say, well, hey man, let's try to change the real game like the PlayStation game. Let's stop making teams get the quarterback hurt. Let's not let nobody hit the quarterback. Let's throw the ball every down. Let's don't play no physical football so your players can play every down. Let's go guys try to get super teams because that's what we do on PlayStation and NBA playing. Let's try to get super teams. So somewhere down the line, they said, let's switch and let's stop making the game, the video game like the real game. And now they started changing the rules of the real game so it could be like the video game. And some of y'all start believing that. And now y'all talking to people that know football like, hey, man, you only run the ball, let somebody force you to run the ball. Throw it up. Go on fourth down every down. Don't punt the ball. We don't never punt the ball in PlayStation. And when I play, that's the reality. That's not common sense. That's emotion. Again, man, another hour and 15 hours and 17 minutes. I want to say this. I want to say that, this is my second time, and I'm not going to be coming on Facebook Live too often because I'm going to be probably coming. When you need to follow me, if you like, comment, subscribe, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please go to my YouTube channel, Coach Marv Real Talk. Y'all see it up in the logo in the top hand corner. Go to Coach Marv Real Talk. Go to that channel. If you're a friend of mine in Facebook and I'm coming across these things, I got 2,000, 3,000 people that are friends of mine on Facebook. I don't care if you're a Cowboy fan or you're a football fan. If you're a supporter of me, go on that channel. It doesn't cost you anything to go on to the YouTube channel. Click on the YouTube channel, hit subscribe. Go to my watch list and click on some of the other videos and say, well, let me see what old Coach Marv was talking about with this. Let me see what's going on. My channel is growing. I'm not a technical person, never have been. But if you go back to some of my older videos, you'll see that we don't upgrade the camera, we don't upgrade to certain things. We're trying to move on. We're going to get some t-shirts, we're moving them forward. But real talk, I'm going to be doing other shows. We're not just going to be talking about Cowboys. I understand some people, got a negative connotation because they say, oh, well, he just talking about Cowboys. One thing about my show is always going to be, we're going to talk about sports in a general sense. I'm going to talk about the Cowboys because I love the Cowboys. But I'm not one of those delusional fans that think everything in Cowboy land is perfect and we would win all and beat all. But I understand the history of my Cowboys. And I understand we were dominant. And I understand there's only one way to get dominant is back to the DNA of what made us dominant before. And it's not going to be being Prada or Hilfiger or a Gucci or Louis Vuitton way. It's going to be grind in the mud, getting it to where we got to go. I'm going to keep it like my people say, I'm going to keep it real. We're going to talk. That's why my show says real talk. So we're gonna talk real talk, and we're gonna do other shows. I'm gonna talk about Norfolk State University. I'm a Norfolk State smart. I played for Norfolk State. I want the team to do better. I get on their case. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna have some shows to talk about the Lakers and the Tar Heels. But we are also gonna have other people coming on here talking about their stuff. You're gonna get real sports talk from me, from a former coach's point of view. I'm not gonna come with no innuendo. I'm not gonna come with this crazy look of of this crazy talk. But I need your support. If you on Facebook, you're on YouTube, you're on X or Twitter, and you hadn't subscribed, you hadn't clicked on that channel, went on my channel, get on my channel and says, hey, let me click on here and support Coach Marv. He is a friend of mine on Facebook. I'm gonna go on here and give him some support. It costs me nothing to click on his channel, and hit subscribe. And that right there, or you hear a little emoji, you hear a like button or whatever, that is going to do greatly for me. And I will appreciate if you do that. And share your video. If you don't like the video, share and say, hey, man, they go that fool still talking about no Cowboys. That's all right. Because, hey, conversation is like any conversation. But I really appreciate everyone coming in and follow me and seeing. This is, like I said, I just started doing the live on Facebook, but hey, we're gonna grow, we're gonna do it like we're supposed to do. So, but I always want you to say, in the Friday and say defense is a weapon. That's gonna be our mantra at Dallas. We're gonna be making t-shirts. I'm gonna have those t-shirts on my live, and hey, defense is a weapon, and we're gonna push that this whole summer. But remember, as I always leave my show, remember, I always say, nothing or no one can stop God's will. And I'm not talking about the Cowboys. I'm just talking about in your life, man. If it's God's will, it will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And that's something that you can bet on, and you can put your last dollar on that. And nothing and no one can stop God's will. I had a very interesting point on Facebook today when I saw a old time friend of mine that's been knowing him all the life and grew up with his brother. And I don't want to say his name, but anyway, he posted something. He had a fight with cancer, and man, the cancer's still there, but he is coming. He's winning the fight right now. And you know something? It was a very powerful and emotional message that I heard him when he gave his post today. And I posted something on his is the message, and I posted something on my page today. Hope plus faith plus perseverance equals breakthrough. Hope plus faith plus perseverance equal breakthrough, baby. You put all that. Everything starts out with hope. Then you gotta have faith in that hope, and then you gotta persevere through the good times and the bad times because you know that you got faith in that hope, and you got to persevere. Then comes the breakthrough. So whatever you're going through, man, we all go through stuff, man. Just keep pushing, man. Keep pushing. We just here to talk on this show, just to give some commentary. There's no need to be going out and fighting or crazy about that. I like the Cowboys. Some of y'all might like Pittsburgh. Some of y'all like the Eagles. Some of y'all like all kind of other things. But on this show, we're gonna talk real talk, and we're gonna talk real football, and then we're gonna start talking about other things. But remember, nothing and no one can stop God's will. And for you Cowboy fans, follow me. People who are not Cowboy fans, just because you know me, click on that, go onto that YouTube page of Coach Marv Real Talk. See me when I got my finger pointing. AI is making up some great things. Don't think I did that. AI doing some great things. But that pointing of that thing with the shades on, go to that channel, hit that subscribe button. And let me see if I can get to 1,000 subscribers by the time thank you so much. And my beautiful lady friend, she put it in the chat. Let me see if I can put it in here, pull it up. Here it goes. That's what I put on my Facebook page today. And I live by that money. We're gonna be making t-shirts with this. I got a lot of slogans that I've come up with, man, in the last couple of days, and I think God has put it on me to come up with stuff that's going to be motivational, and it's going to come and push. But this is one of that. It may be somebody else got this out there, but that's what came to my heart a couple of weeks ago. Hope plus faith plus perseverance equals breakthrough. Everything starts out of hope. Then you add that faith and have faith in that hope, and you got to persevere. And you persevere, the breakthrough is coming. I thank all y'all for following me. Thank y'all for giving me your time. Thank you for just being patient with me. Thank you for all the comments, for the naysayers and the people that was good. Thank you. I want to say this gentleman here, even though I was deferring some of his comments. This guy right here, this here, man. I appreciate this guy right here, man. He comes in, he has a he comes in with great comments. Don't agree with him all the time. Hope he learned his Cowboy history, because if he learns Cowboy history, he'll understand where I'm trying to go with this team. But I appreciate him coming in this chat room and giving his comments and his commentary. I appreciate the super chat that I got earlier about the gentleman that did the super chat that tell me, said, man, keep pushing, man, and $10 because I'm preaching the truth. Thank you so much, sir, for giving the super chat. If you want to send something to me, if you want to support the channel and keep the channel rolling, all this stuff you give me, man, it's not that I put it, I take that and invest it into the show. I invested into the show. You can cash at me. That's gonna go through YouTube. And if you cash at me, man, you want to support the show, that's my cash app. Send me a cash app and then send me a message. But put a message in the comment and give me support, or tell me something else. Or if you got some ideas that you want to help me out with, and you say, hey, man, Marv, Coach Marv, man, hey, I can help you out, man. I can do certain things, man. Or this is this. Put that stuff out there, man. Put it in the chat. Y'all know how to get me, man. And let's sit down and talk, man. Because anything I can take help from you, that'd be great. But if you want to support the channel, the cash app is there. Thank y'all so much, man. I always have, man. A former coach, and I love my Blue 5. And I'm gonna always love my Blue 5, and I'm always love my Cowboys, man. Hey, till next time, keep pushing. Have a wonderful Valentine weekend for your ladies and your gentlemen, man. Enjoy your time in Valentine's, man, and just enjoy your people, man. And if your mother's out there, gentlemen, I don't care if your father's still here. If your mother's still out there and she's still living, make her your Valentine's. Make her one of your Valentines. Until next time, people.